Hi guys, my name is Emily McDowell and I am a volunteer with the Sierra Club Colorado chapter. I've been working with the Sierra Club for a couple months on issues of accessibility and inclusion in the outdoors, and I've been mostly focusing on autism and Asperger's outside. So I started this project from a storytelling perspective. I spent a lot of time talking to families and professionals uh, uh, that are in the Asperger's and autism community, and just talking to them about what the barriers were in getting outside. So a lot of the things that they talked about were, lack of time, lack of autism specific resources. So, a parent may want to take their kids outside, but if they don't have any knowledge of the potential triggers along the way, it could be really challenging. So, if they don't know if there's going to be a bathroom at the trailhead, if there's going to be a lot of other visitors at the trail, on the trail, or if the trail is really exposed with sunlight. Those are all things that could be triggers and could be really difficult for their child. And right now, there isn't a great way to know about what the trail is going to look like before you get out there, especially with kid-friendly trails. So in this project, the Social Stories Outside project, what I'm trying to do is make it easier for these families to get outside and to take out that exhausting research step. So this is just going to be a little bit of an overview of what we did at the volunteer training. And if you have any questions, you can always email me. This will just be a quick overview. So first, we talked a little bit about what autism spectrum disorder is. I know everyone's going to be on different familiarity levels. I am not a professional. I have worked with professionals throughout this process to ensure that we go about it in the best possible way. But if anybody has any suggestions, I'm very open to making this project as helpful as it possibly can be. So if you aren't familiar with autism or autism spectrum disorder refers to a range of conditions characterized by challenges with social skills, repetitive behaviors, speech and nonverbal communication, as well as characterized by unique strengths and differences. So people with ASD can be easily triggered by sensory experiences like bright light or strange smells or loud noises. And as you guys all know, these are all things that we come into contact with when we go outside. So a social story is a written and visual document that helps mitigate sensory overload by preparing the individual for the experience. So this is a document that a family might use if they're taking their kid to the dentist for the first time, or if they're handling a tragedy. It just kind of helps the child or the individual prepare for an experience and get a hold of all the different sensory things that they're going to come in contact with. So here's a good example of a social story for a dentist office. So it has, a picture of the outside of the dentist office, and it says, "Today I'm going to the dentist at Children's Village. The dentist helps keep my teeth clean and healthy." Then it gives a picture of what the inside of the office is going to look like. It says, "I will check in at the front desk." And then it gives, kind of an idea of like what they're going to encounter with. So, when my name is called, what you have to do is you have to go into the dentist office. And it says, I'll sit in a big chair. The chair will move and it will lay back. So it just kind of sets the child or the individual up for what they're going to experience. It walks them through the experience. And then it also kind of helps to explain the acceptable behaviors in that environment, mostly to keep everyone safe. So what I would like to do with Social Stories Outside is help families that have kids on the spectrum get outside easily and efficiently by doing all of the work that it takes to get outside. So we're going to find the trail directions. We're going to give the parents details about what different features are on the trail, like bathrooms and waterfalls and bridges and that kind of stuff. And then we're also going to create a printable social story for the trail so they can use that with their child before they go out, and then a click-through slideshow of turn-by-turn photos of the trail so they can have an idea of what they're getting into before they get outside. So the first part of this is going to be a parent guide. So this is going to have all the logistical information. You're going to have a pin of the location. So parents can literally just click on that and it'll give you directions with Google Maps or Apple Maps right to the trailhead. We will have a clickable weather link, so it'll take them to the weather for the nearest town to the trail, so they can see what the weather is looking like before they get out. It'll tell you if there are bathrooms, how far away it is from Denver, how long the hike is, if it's a loop or an out and back, that kind of stuff. Then what we'll do is we'll create a social story for the hike. So we'll be using photos that you take when you're out on the trail, and then you will get a checklist of a sensory detail checklist. And essentially that checklist will walk you through all these different things that you need to be aware of when you're outside. So it'll ask you to report on, if there are any strong smells, if the trail is really exposed and bright, if there's a lot of bugs, so it'll lead you through all these different questions, and then your answers from those questions will help us create a social story on our end, so the family can have that when they go outside. So an example for this is, we'll have a picture of a kid getting ready for the hike. Either a photo that I take, or, if you go on this hike with your kids, you can always take a picture of them getting ready for the hike. So it says, I'm going on a hike. To prepare for my hike, I will need to wear comfy clothing that I can move in and sturdy shoes to keep me safe in the outdoors. Then a picture of a kid, putting on sunscreen, or near bugs, and it'll say, when I'm hiking, plants might brush my arms and legs, and bugs might fly near my face. If I don't like this, I can wear long pants and a long sleeve shirt. I can also protect my skin by putting on sunscreen and bug spray. Other examples of things we might have along the trail would be, if there's a bridge, we'll take your picture of the bridge, and then we'll put in some text to help the child get used to the idea of, maybe crossing a bridge over a loud river. So we'll say, on this hike, I will get to cross 2 bridges. These bridges were constructed by smart and skilled park workers, and they are very sturdy. I will cross the bridges by keeping one hand on the railing. So this just kind of lets the child know that, this is a really safe environment, and the ways that they can keep themselves safe is by holding on to the railing. And this kind of outlines, that acceptable behavior kind of thing. We'll talk about leave no trace policies. So along the trail, there will be a few benches. If I am hungry or thirsty, I can stop here to take a break. I will make sure not to leave any wrappers or food around so other kids can enjoy the trail like I did. So it'll just work. It'll walk them through the experience, and then depending on what features you report back to us, we'll create specific pictures and descriptions for different features, like bridges, or, if it's a mountain bike trail as well, or if it goes through a dark part of the forest, those things like that. So you'll be generating the information, and then I will plug it into the social story template to create a social story for each hike. And then lastly, we'll have that turn-by-turn slideshow that'll walk them through essentially the whole hike. So what you guys are going to do is you're going to choose a hike from the approved hike spreadsheet. If you have a hike that you know that you really like, you can always pick it and enter it into the spreadsheet. We just ask that it's 1 to 3 miles max, located near a trailhead or some recognizable start of the trail, not just like something off the highway. Minimal elevation gain, max of about an hour and a half away from Denver. And then we really are trying to work on having the majority of the hikes be free, so a place where you wouldn't have to pay a fee to enter. We want to make this project as accessible as possible to as many people, and we don't want to be limited by cost. So what you guys are going to do is when you are out on the hike that you pick, you're going to record hike details. So I will have a set of instructions for you that is attached in the email, and you will just have to answer all those hike detail questions, all the questions in the parent guide about how far away it is, what's the nearest town for weather, any of that kind of stuff. Then you're going to go through that social stories sensory checklist. So it'll ask you questions like,